right, assalamu alaikum everybody. Okay, don't want to drop that. Alrighty, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Rabbi zidni ilma, Rabbi zidni ilma, Rabbi zidni ilma. How are you guys doing? Alhamdulillah. Oh God. Okay, here we go. Just getting my chaotic life together. Alhamdulillah. Sorry guys for the delay. So happy to see everybody. Alhamdulillah. How's the people who got kids and their kids are back in school? How y'all feeling? Amazing is crazy. Pretty good. I got pretty good. I got amazing. I got, probably real happy, like a new person. Alhamdulillah. Well, may Allah give them a great year. Hopefully they don't pick up no germs from nobody so they don't have to stay home and they can go to school every day. Inshallah. Alrighty. Welcome back to Exploring the Quran. Alhamdulillah, we've been covering the story of Yusuf alayhi salam through Surah Yusuf, which is the 12th chapter in the Quran. And we've also already talked a little bit about the background of this particular story. And so what we want to keep doing is we want to keep relating the story to the background. We want to keep relating it to the time in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed it. And the reason why this is important is because whenever the Quran is revealed, it's not revealed in a silo, right? It's not revealed at a random time. It's not revealed for no reason. There's a reason why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has revealed it, and it's important for us to be able to connect that. So we talked about how the reason why, or the time frame in which Surah Yusuf was revealed, is at a time when the Prophet was going through a lot of trial and tribulation. He's experiencing a lot of grief, and he's trying to manage through that grief. And as a consolation to his heart, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sends down Surah Yusuf. So this second portion or this, I guess you could say third class, but second portion of the surah that we're going to be covering, it's kind of going to piggyback a little bit more on an disease of the heart we introed in the last class. And that disease of the heart was hasad, or envy. And what we want to focus on today is actually just reading through the verses and seeing how a small emotion, like something so tiny that is sometimes not actually even rooted in anything, can exacerbate into a big deal and turn into a bigger situation than it needed to be. So similar to last class, I don't have one. But similar to last class, because I'm in the spirit of going back to who I used to be a long time ago in 2019, I would like for someone to read the English for us. I'm not going to put anybody else on the spot, but if anybody wants to volunteer, and we'll read from verse number 7 until verse number 12. Going once. I like to make up people's names too. When I said I'm not going to put anybody on the spot, it was for the English. For the Arabic, not the English. Okay. Would you like to read on the
Just the English, right? Yeah. There are lessons in the story of Joseph and his brothers for all who seek them. The brothers said to each other, "Although we are many, Joseph and his brother are dearer to our father than we are. Our father is clearly in the wrong." One of them said, "Kill Joseph or banish him to another land, and your father's attention will be free to turn to you. After that, you can be righteous." Another of them said, "Do not kill Joseph, but if you must, throw him into the hidden depths of a well where some caravan may pick him up." They said to their father, "Why do you not trust us with Joseph? We wish him well. Send him with us tomorrow, and he will enjoy himself and play. We will take good care of him."
Thank you. I'll take it. Sorry, you're fine. It's like a little game of Tetris. I don't think that's the right word, but that's okay. All right. So we have here now that we're going into the story of Yusuf alayhi salam. Before we stopped at the portion where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala details to us what Yaqub alayhi salam tells his son, right? He sees this dream. His dad then tells him, don't tell your brothers the dream because they have, shaitan can get the best of them. And shaitan is an enemy of God. And because shaitan's an enemy of God, an enemy to you all, then he could exacerbate this feeling. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us that Yaqub alayhi salam tells his son, وَكَذَلِكَ يَجْتَبِيكَ, this is because your Lord has chosen you, رَبُّكَ, وَيُعَلِّمُكَ مِنْ تَعْوِيلِ الْأَحَادِيثِ, and he wants to give you this blessing of teaching you how to interpret dreams. And then he says, وَيُتِمُّ نِعْمَتَهُ, and he wants to complete his blessing on you, which is the second promise, عليك. وعلى علي يعقوب وكما أتمها على أبوك من قبل إبراهيم وإسحاق, like he's completed his blessing upon your forefathers and those who have come before you. إن ربك عليم حكيم, because indeed your Lord is all knowing and he is all wise. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes us into the story, and he says, لَقَدْ كَانَ فِي يُوسُفَ وَإِخْوَتِهِ. And truly, when it comes to the story of Yusuf alayhi salam and his brothers, ayatun, there are many signs, lissa'ilin, for those who seek them. Now, there are two things. The first thing is that some say that the sabab nuzul, or the circumstance of revelation, in addition to it being the grief that the Prophet experienced, it was also that the Quraysh went and asked the Jews, what can we tell him, or what can we ask him? Kind of similar to Surah Kaf. What can we ask him to trip him up? Because this guy, he seems like he's saying that he's a prophet. He comes from the same monotheistic faith as you guys, so he must share the same stories, right? So if he's not true, then obviously he will not know. And so they say, ask him about Yusuf. Now, the interesting thing is that some of the scholars say that the story and the way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala presents the story of Yusuf alayhi salam, there were points of it that even the Jews did not know themselves. So it became even more apparent of how incredible the Prophet was, how much he was a prophet from Allah. And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, لَقَدْ كَانَ فِي يُوسُفَ وَإِخْوَتِهِ, that most definitely in Yusuf alayhi salam, in his story, and his brothers, you'll find signs. And these signs are miraculous because an ayah is something that points your attention to something, right? If you see a stop sign, it doesn't mean go, it means what? Hopefully, for you, it means stop. If you see yellow, it means what? Not go faster, right? So there are things that it points you to. It alerts you. You see trees outside, it should alert you that Allah exists, right? You feel emotion, it should alert you that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who's giving you this emotion. So essentially, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us that this is an alert. Hearing this story and reading it is not just a common thing in a storybook. It's something to alert you, to tell you to pay attention. And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, like, not only pay attention to Yusuf, but also pay attention to ikhwati, his brothers too. Because you pay attention just to Yusuf, you're not going to get the full picture. The full picture of what Yusuf alayhi salam went through includes other people. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, idh, way back when, qalu, they said, la Yusufu wa akhuhu ahabbu ila abina minna, that Yusuf and his brother, you guys remember I said that Yusuf alayhi salam did not share the same mother with them, right? So his mother he had a different mother, and so the last two kids was Yusuf and Binyamin. So the baby, his name was Binyamin. So they had the same mother and father. So now all the older brothers are sitting around and they're talking with each other. And they're sitting in a silo, right? My favorite saying, well, I had retired it in 2023, but I'm bringing it back in 2024, 2025. New school year, same saying, it is what it is miserable people love other miserable people, right? And so you become an echo chamber for each other. So here you have the brothers of Yusuf alayhi salam, they're sitting together, and they're an echo chamber for each other. And they say to one another that our brother, Yusuf, and his brother actually, is more beloved to our father, minna, than us. Like, he has so much love for them, وَنَحْنُ أُصْبَةٌ, but we're like a group of people, right? Usba is like where it's more so saying that we're not just one, where there's five or more of us, in the sense that we're the majority. So if he should love anyone, he should love the kids that came first, and not his last two children. Inna abana lafi dhalalin mubin. And because of this love and the way that he has this care for Yusuf and for Binyamin, then our father is clearly going down the wrong path, right? Dalal means to not even have it clear. It's to actually misplace something. You're not actually using it in the light of the path that it should be in, right? Which is why it's like the opposite of nur. It's for you to be in darkness. So he's loving them without any type of knowledge. Like, he's loving them not even knowing that he shouldn't have loved them as much. Now, what's interesting is that a lot of our feelings, right? There's a difference between haqq, like what is true in reality, and then your feelings. I'm not saying your feelings don't matter, but I'm saying that a lot of our feelings are actually rooted in darkness, right? It is literally something that if someone sends an email, for instance, okay? Anybody work with sensitive people before? Okay. So how many times do you have to put an exclamation mark and like a smiley face, and then you have to say thank you so much to make sure that this person does not read this email in the wrong way? 100 million times. When really you can send that same email to the person next door and they will say what? Oh, it is what it is. They just asked for X, Y, and Z. So a lot of times our feelings are actually rooted in darkness in the sense that we have a feeling about something, but we've never went and investigated it or asked any questions, and then we've now solidified that this is the situation. You've made that your reality, and once someone makes a certain emotion their reality, they also make it their personality. So now, like, I am the most hated person at work for no reason, and people just are so rude, and they don't ask me any questions, and blah, blah, and this and that, when really it was never that deep. And it was never that situation. And so what happens is that they're in an echo chamber. They're bouncing ideas off of each other, and they all have the same emotion. So no one is there being like the voice of reason. No one is there saying, oh, maybe we should go ask our father if this is the reality. They're not doing that, right? They're just saying like, oh, just based off of our experience, he's giving Yusuf more attention. He's giving Binyamin more attention. Did they ever consider that maybe Yusuf and Binyamin are the younger two? And perhaps maybe they actually need that attention? Have they ever considered that Binyamin was like a literal child? Some in narrations even say that Yusuf alayhi salam had not even reached puberty yet. So that means that what? They need more taken care of. And so in this situation, the brothers are sitting there and they're saying, well, we're the majority, and we are on this side, and Yusuf and Binyamin are on the other side. And now they've just decided that their father is wrong, and they've decided that their father has more love for Binyamin and Yusuf, and they've decided that they're hated by their dad, and they've decided that they need to do something about it to fix it. All of it is rooted in what? Pure emotion, misunderstanding. And then they decide to go back and forth to determine what they should do. And they say, Uqtulu Yusufa. One of them says that we should kill him. That's the solution. 0 to 100 real quick, okay? We should kill him. Or we can just take him, drop him off next door to a land next door, and then we'll just leave him there, and our father's love will come back to us. And essentially they're not even saying like we'll be loved by our father. They're saying that we'll get his attention back. So he won't be so concerned and worried about Yusuf anymore, because Yusuf will be gone, and thus we'll be able to have our father's face, meaning we'll have his attention back on us. And then they say, وَتَكُونُ مِن بَعْدِهِ قَوْمًا صَالِحِينَ. And after that, we'll be good people. And this is shaitan. This is shaitan. Because shaitan will tell you, you know what? Just have that conversation one time. You know, you can engage. This one time. After that, you okay. You're not going to talk about people no more. You're not going to backbite no more. You're not going to talk about her no more. You're not going to talk about him no more. It's the last time. Do you really think it's going to be the last time? No. What shaitan likes to do is open up a can of worms and just leave you to deal with it. And so this is why Yusuf alayhi salam's father starts with saying what? That shaitan is an enemy to mankind. And you need to understand that. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us that shaitan's an enemy, so you take him as your enemy, not your friend. So someone who clearly does not like you, does not have any good motive for you, does not want anything good for you, gives you a suggestion that is not good, then you will say what? Well, your trajectory is not that great. You really don't care for me. Even it doesn't matter how many ways you package it, you don't actually care for me. So here what we see is that Yusuf alayhi salam's brothers, they're sitting there and they're trying to come up with this solution. And the first place that one of the brothers goes to is the worst possible thing you can do, and that was to kill him. And then he says, like, if that's too dramatic, actually, we can just drop him off next door. And he will be fine. Someone will pick him up, someone will see him, someone doesn't see him, not our problem. But we'll get the love of our father back, and we'll become righteous after. Because God is so forgiving, and God is so compassionate, and God is so merciful, which is all true, yes. But you cannot plan to do sin. Okay, it cannot be a tit for tat, like the Prophet says in the narration. That when someone commits a sin, they do a wrong, they should follow it up with a good deed, and that good deed would then wipe away the sin. So if I was to sit here and say, okay, you know what? These are the 10 sins I want to commit today. These are 10 good things I'm going to do today. Balance. No, does not work that way. Why? Because you think you're playing God. You really think that you're playing Allah, and that's not the case. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is all knowing, but he's also all aware, and he knows what's in your heart. And then one of the brothers speaks up, and most narrations say that this is the older brother. قَالَ قَائِلٌ مِّنْهُمْ, then a speaker from amongst them, and what that means is that he used to be the voice of reason. Now, when we go through this reasoning, it's not going to be great, but it won't be as bad as killing him. So قَالَ قَائِلٌ مِّنْهُمْ, that the voice of reason amongst them, one of them, the older brother, he says, لَا تَقْتُلُوا يُوسُفَ. Actually, I don't think we should kill him. Okay? Don't kill Yusuf. وَأَلْقُوهُ فِي الْغَيَابَةِ الْجُبِّ. Instead, maybe you should throw him into the depths of a well, which means like into the darkest part. Not a well that is like, that he could climb out of, like a well that is very, very deep. يَلْتَقِطْهُ بَعْضُ السَّيَّارَةِ, and the people who are in the caravan can come and take him. The word iltaqata or iltiqat, it means to find something and not have no desire to keep it. Like, you ever like pick up like a, I don't know, pebble off the ground? You guys have kids. Kids pick up random stuff all the time. And you just don't care to have it. That's what it means. So maybe somebody iltiqat means to pick up something and not have any desire to keep it. You find something that's lost, you don't really care to keep it. So he uses this wording, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses this wording to convey an emotion that perhaps someone else will discard of him. Like, we don't have to do the sin of discarding him. Does that make sense? Someone else will come, they will take him, they will deal with him. It is what it is. It's not on our hands. We put him in a place alive, we put him in a place that someone can come and get him. But Allah knows your what? Intention. He knows where? Your heart. He knows what? Your thinking. He knows the depths and the deepest part of your secrets, right? He knows that which you tell other people. He knows that which you only tell one person. He knows that which you're even trying to hide from yourself. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is able to convey this emotion to us by means of that story. And then he says, in kuntum fa'ilin. If it's the case that you guys really want to do something, this is what you should do. This is what you should do. So now it's time for them to put on their performative measure. And they go to their father and they say, قَالُوا يَا أَبَانَا, O our father, مَا لَكَ, what is wrong with you? Guilt trip. I can't say what I tell my friends because it's recorded. But I tell my friends all the time that, you know how that there's a saying, you don't negotiate with, you know what I'm saying? So I tell them, stop negotiating with your children because they have those attributes. They're emotionally manipulating you. Like, your kid is emotionally manipulating you by not eating. I'm so sorry. Tell them they're going to eat this and go to bed. Like, I don't have kids. You guys already know that. So I don't have the problems y'all have, okay? I'm good. But they do that. That's what they do. That's what children do. They emotionally manipulate their parents because they know the triggers. They know the buttons to push. So they go to their father. They don't say, can Yusuf come and hang out with us? They don't start there. They get very crafty because they're making a plan. And when you're not honest about something, you have to go around the bush to get to what you're trying to do, right? You can't just show up as like your authentic self. Why? Because that's not who you are right now. Right now, you're being deceitful. And so they say, Ya Abana, O our father, Malaka, what's wrong with you? What's going on? La ta'manna ala Yusufa wa inna lahu lanasihun. That you don't even trust us with Yusuf, and we're just trying to be like sincere people to him. We just want to give him good advice. We want to be big brothers. We want to have his back. We want to be there for him. But you don't even trust us to have like moments with him alone. Arsilahu ma'ana ghadan. So you should send him with us tomorrow. Yarata, we'll race with each other. Yarata means to go back and forth to race. So we'll race with each other. وَيَلْعَبْ, and we'll play around a little bit. وَإِنَّا لَهُ لَحَافِظُونَ, and we will certainly protect him. Like, for us, it's our goal, It is our responsibility. It is what we want to do. We want to protect him. Okay? Now, I know that's like a cliffhanger, but this is actually the verses that we're going to go through today. And we're going to stop at these verses because this is the trick of shaitan. You have a responsibility in life. And that responsibility in our life is for us to have good character. Good character. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to be people who are of the best types, like having good souls. And in order to do that, there are two things you have to do. You have to beautify your soul, and you have to rid your soul of negativity. There's good to add. This is where your adhkar comes. This is where your nafil prayer comes. You know, your fard should be there, and it is beautify, but that's like a basis. That's like brushing your teeth, okay? Beautifying is like adding perfume and like whatever else you guys do. I don't know, okay? Whatever, mascara, whatever. I don't know what you do, but, you know, you get the point. That's beautifying. So as a basis of like brushing your teeth is what? Salah, fasting, that's the basis. But we have a responsibility to beautify, If someone showed up and they kind of look a little rough around the edges and they said, okay, but I brushed my teeth today, you're like, that's the bare minimum. Right? You would tell them you could have ironed your shirt. I'm not going to talk about ironing. I hate ironing, right? But you could have ironed, you could have wore something else, you could have matched. Like, you will have these questions, right? That's the reality of it. So that's how your soul is. When you're showing up to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with your soul, you want to show up to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with this amana and this trust that he's giving you in the most beautiful form, in the most beautiful way. And in order to be able to beautify that, you have to then add to your ibadah. This is where ritual comes in. So this is where you add your nafil prayer. This is where you add adhkar, dhikr, right? And not just Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, la ilaha illallah. No, mindful dhikr. Why are you saying what you're saying, right? This is where you add your extra fast. This is where you add your knowledge, learning more. These are things that beautify the soul. There's a second part of it too. And that second part is your akhlaq. It is your character. And this is where you have to remove things that are not good. The reason being is a person can pray all their prayers. They can pray all of their nafil. They can fast all of their fasts. They can read all the Quran in the world. And they can show up to God with an ugly soul. Why? Because you didn't feel the need to clean it out. You didn't feel the need to take out the negativity. So what are you doing? You're just masking it over and over again. And the nature of masking anything is what? That your true colors will always shine and always come through. And so there are two aspects to a person being a better person. There's two aspects to a person showing up to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala biqalbin salim, with a heart that is sound, that is free of disease, that is safe, with a heart that goes to Jannah. And that person has to, one, beautify, and two, they have to remove negativity. And this is how you have husnul khuluq, good character. So in that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us stories, and he gives us different things that for us to look at and say, well, do I have any of these types of qualities? And if I have any of these types of qualities, then it's important for me to rid myself of them. Everybody has some type of relationship in life. There are two types, though, that we focus on. We focus on huququllah wal huququl ibad. Huququllah means the rights and the relationship that you have between you and Allah. And then there's also the rights and the relationship that you have with other people. And one of the biggest places that we find trial and tribulation is in family. That is a big place to find it. And a lot of times, sibling rivalry is very much so a thing. Oh, this person's the favorite, or that person's this, or this person's loved, or this person's this person's that. That person, they didn't yell at them as much as they yelled at me. So we're always so focused. And again, I'm not saying parents are perfect. You always know my spill on that, okay? People are humans. Parents are humans too, right? So no one's perfect. But when you're so focused on the other side and what a person has or what a person doesn't have, or what a person is treated like, what you're not treated like, you're not focused on that aspect of beautifying yourself and ridding the negativity within yourself. In fact, you're feeling it. And you're making it worse. And shaitan is there to keep pouring fuel on the fire. He's there to tell you, yeah, you're right. Actually, your parents did treat you horribly. And if you were to look back at it now with a healthy mind and a healthy spirituality, you would say, actually, it wasn't that bad. That's what you would say, with a healthy mind and a healthy spirituality. But when you look at it, from a mind that is like very entitled, then you say what? It was the worst. And I will absolutely never do this to my child. And then you have kids and you realize that no two children are the same, even twins. And each of them have a different level of attention that is needed. And each of them have different things that you need to give to them for them to feel fulfilled. And as a child, you don't understand that nuance. You can't. Why? Because you're a kid, right? So you get older, you get hopefully more spiritually healthy, hopefully more mature and mentally healthy, and you're able to understand these different aspects. So we have two places that we have to worry about or be mindful of when we're talking about ridding negative things and beautifying. Now, when it comes to hesed, this type of envy, the brothers of Yusuf alayhi salam, they didn't find contentment in themselves. They went to as many lengths as possible to think about all the things to do because they actually were not happy with themselves. And that is the root of envy. The root of envy is that you cannot find contentment in life. You can't. Why? Because people are always constantly, as humans, we are always constantly trying to find contentment in two things: other people and material things. We're constantly trying to find ourselves through the personalities of someone else. We're constantly trying to find ourselves through, does this person like what I have? Or I have this new thing, or I have that new thing, or is this person hanging out with me, or they're hanging out with this other person? Why didn't they invite me? We're constantly engaged and worried about somebody else and not ourselves because we don't find happiness within ourselves. And that's just the reality of the story of Yusuf alayhi salam's brothers. They were not content with who they were. They were not okay with who they were, and they projected that onto their father. Because if it was truly a case that it was something that had to do with their dad, they would have went to him and asked him. If it's truly the case that it had to do with someone else truly wronging you and depriving you of your rights or whatever it is that you're feeling jealousy towards, you would have went to that person and what? You would have asked. But they never did that. Why? Because it was all inside of their heart. And there's a narration that says that kullu nasin, that every single human being, astati'u an urdiyahu, that is capable of being satisfied. Every human being is capable of being okay, like feeling content. Illa hasida ni'matin, except for a person who is like jealous, even though that person has blessings. They're jealous, except for a person, who's jealous, and they're jealous of a blessing. فَإِنَّهُ لَا يُرْدِيهِ إِلَّا زَوَالُهَا. That person will never find contentment until that blessing is gone. Hasad is a person, for someone to be a hasad, it is a person who looks at someone else's blessing and doesn't want that person to have it. They don't want them to have it. Why? Because they wanted it themselves. And this is why it is such a dangerous thing. It's dangerous because that person will never be content with Allah. A person who thinks like that will never be content with Allah. They will always think of Allah to have shortchanged them. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also tells us in the Quran, He says, Am yahsuduna nasa ala ma atahumullahu min fadli. Do people really have the audacity to envy other people for a blessing that God is the one who gave it? You didn't actually put it forward. So to have this level of jealousy over something that you actually did not earn is actually crazy. It's absurd. Why? Because you did nothing for this blessing to happen. You did nothing for it to put it forward. So it's like for me to go to my neighbor's home. My poor neighbor, she gets messed up all the time. Okay? But it's like me to go to her home and be like, actually, this is my house. It's really giving Zionism. Okay, that's exactly what it is. Why? Because you feel so entitled to something that's not yours. It was not yours in the first place. It is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's ability to give, and it is His right to give to whomever He wants. The Quraysh and historically prophets that had come before, their people always denied them. Why? Because they felt like, well, why are you the one who gets to preach the message? Why not so-and-so? Well, what is the reality of this situation? When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that He chose a person, that is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saying that He chose a person. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells Musa alayhi salam, وَاسْتَنَعْتُكَ لِنَفْسِي, and I crafted you, I created you, I made you specifically for this mission, for myself, for you to be able to carry out this mission and this message. And when Musa alayhi salam goes to Fir'aun, Fir'aun's like, who are you? You don't have anything. You're actually not that great. You're actually not this. You're actually not that. And when Musa alayhi salam says, I answer to Al-A'la, the one who's the most high, Fir'aun says, I can be higher than that. And he pours all of his resources into building high rises so that he can be considered to be the most high. Can you imagine competing with something where you can never be in competition with that thing actually? Can you imagine competing where you do not compare? Can you imagine doing that? That's how hasad is. It's you pouring all of your emotion, pouring all of your energy into something that is actually detrimental for you. When we talk about envy and we talk about hasad, a lot of times the things that we focus on is, okay, if someone does hasad to me, how bad is that? That's not where you need to focus. Why? Because there's protections for that. And that is your 3 closing your ayatul kursi. There's protection for that. That person's taken care of. You're taken care of. What you need to focus on is the fact that the Prophet ﷺ, he says about hasad. He says, Al-hasadu ya'kulul hasanat. That hasad is something that devours good deeds. Kama ta'kulu narul al-hatab. Just like fire devours a log. Fire devours the wood. That's the same way that your good deeds go to waste. Why? Because when someone is envious of somebody else, they spend their entire time talking about them. Their entire time. You went, you volunteered, you did something good, you go back, you hang out with your friends, you're like, and this is what they were wearing, and this is what she was doing. I can't believe she was even like this, and why is she even there? She should just give up now. That's what you do. You spend that whole time talking about this person. You're obsessed. You're obsessed. And then it gets worse. Let's pull up a picture. And you remember I said miserable people like other miserable people. And so now you're your own little miserable corner, in your little miserable circle, being miserable. And all that good deed that you did, where did it go? The drain is even kind. It's been buried in the depths of the earth. You will not be able to recover it. Why? Because you don't actually feel like you did anything wrong. That's the most dangerous part of it, is that you don't feel like you did anything wrong. Why? She deserved it. He deserved it. They didn't deserve that good deed that they had. But do we deserve the good that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us? No. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that every good deed that you got was dependent upon the quality, because he can demand that, the quality of your prayer, how many of us will think that we'll have good in our life? None of us. Okay, fine. Let's say that's hard. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that every single prayer that you pray, your good that comes to your life is dependent upon you praying them on time. On time. Simple. How many of us will feel like we'll have good in our life? Yeah. It'll be like, depends on the day. Maybe today I woke up on time. Maybe today I won't. You don't know. So for us to think that because of what we put forward to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we deserve and we should have the things that we ask Him for, is being entitled. And then entitlement leads you to jealousy. Jealousy leads you to this deep level of hasad. And then hasad leads you to deciding to make plans that actually are absurd. Do you think that the brothers of Yusuf alayhi salam were sitting here at this moment and they thought to themselves that, oh, trying to kill him is actually crazy? No. They were in an echo chamber. And at that point, their jealousy had reached a level of envy. Like, jealousy is like you feel a little bit. Envy is like you're enraged. So for them, in the height of that emotion, saying, let's kill Yusuf, made the most sense. They were like, this is a sensible thing, actually. Like, I don't know why we didn't think about it before. Get rid of the boy. Our father loves us. We repent. We're Muslim again. It's great. And everybody's like, yes, yes, yes. Why? Because when you don't have a good friend group, you don't have a good group of advisors, people around you to tell you, hey, actually, you're being kind of crazy. Then what happens? You guys all then agree on the same not very smart thing. But you have the one brother who doesn't actually give a better solution, but he gives a solution that is less offensive, right? The lesser of two evils. Let's not drop him off in a land that is nowhere. Let's just put him inside the depths of a well. If he survives, he survives. If he doesn't, he doesn't. Someone picks him up, and they take him, and they discard of him, and they deal with him in whatever way possible. And what did the brothers say? It's as if the agreement was so quick, they immediately went to their father. You see, in the ayat, they don't say like, oh, yes, that's a good idea. They don't. It says, قَالُوا يَا أَبَانَا. They just went straight to their dad because they had decided this is the most logical thing to do. When you're in a heightened sense of emotion, everything seems logical. Everything seems logical. But this is why our deen teaches us to think. This is why Allah SWT tells us all the time, do you not ponder? Do you not think? Do you not reflect? أَفَلَا يَعْقِلُونَ. Do you not use your logic, your reasoning? Take a step back. Don't give in to your emotion. Why? Because that is where shaitan is sprinkling. That is where shaitan is telling you, yeah, you're right. Go do that. Go talk badly about this person. Go treat them this way. So they go straight to their dad. And they're so convinced that they're right. They say to him, Inna lahu lanasihun. We've just wanted to be big brothers to him. We've never wanted anything from Yusuf. We've only wanted to be there for him, have his back, be his big brother. And they're convinced of this lie. Arsilhu ma'ana gadan. Just send him with us tomorrow. Finally, like, it's about time we get to go and play with him. Yarata wa yal'al. We know all the things that he wants to do. We could do those things. Wa inna lahu lahafidun. You have nothing to worry about. Nothing at all. We'll take care of it. Your jealousy, the type of when you have this type of emotion inside of you, and you have this disease inside of you, you have to rid it. It is the same disease that shaitan had. Shaitan, someone who was known as Iblis before being known as shaitan, who used to hang out with angels. Can you imagine? That when Allah SWT gave him the command to bowing down, he doesn't even differentiate shaitan from the angels. Why? Because birds of a feather flock together. And he had been so devout to God. Can you imagine? Angels do not have free will. So when Allah SWT tells them to do something, it's sami'na wa ata'na. We heard it and we obey. And for shaitan, Iblis, to be in that category of angels, do you know what that means? It means that whenever God would tell him to do something, before Allah can even finish what he was saying, shaitan was doing it. He had that level of devotion and dedication to Allah. But then when Allah SWT told him to do something, like bow down to Adam, and Adam alayhi salam had now walked a day in this earth, and Adam alayhi salam had not spoken, and Adam alayhi salam had not done anything in accordance to shaitan, and shaitan did not feel like Adam alayhi salam deserved it, what did he do? He turned away from God. He refused. And when Allah SWT asked him, why did you refuse? Allah SWT actually told him, he said, Ma mana'aka. What prevented you? What got in your way? Shaitan says, well, I don't know. He's made out of clay and I'm made out of fire. And shaitan's like, I've been worshiping you. And now here this thing comes out of nowhere, has not done anything. And now you want me to bow down to him. When really shaitan's worship of Allah was transactional. He thought, I worship, and then God will make the angels bow down to me. But then when that didn't happen, he said what? This is not going to fly. I can't do this. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells him what? Bow down or you get out. And he says, well, I'm going to get out. And can you imagine having a conversation with God? It's one thing to disobey Allah not seeing him. It's another thing to disobey Allah in his face, right? So then he says, I'm going to get out. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells him, okay, go. And he says, but I want to let you know, if I got to go, they got to go too. Pure hater energy. Because I didn't get what I wanted and he got what I wanted, I'm not going to let him live in peace. And every single person that comes after him as well. So hasad is a very shaitani type of bad character. And look at what shaitan is known for now. Disobeying Allah. Not for all the worship that he did. Not for the fact that he was considered amongst the angels. No. He's known for disobeying God. He's known for the one to plant the seed of all evil. That disobedience to Allah. And the worst part is actually not his disobedience, it's the doubling down. It's the doubling down. When someone comes to you and they say, hey, it sounds like you're kind of giving hater energy. I don't know who would talk to you like that. But sometimes we need that type of talk. To be honest, sometimes we need friends that are just like, it's not cute. Get it together. Sometimes you need those friends. And when they come to you and they say, guess what you need to do? Take it on the chin. You need to take it on the chin. Even if you don't think it's 100% correct, guess what? There's rooted in something. You need to take it on the chin. Why? Because shaitan was the one who doubled down. And you don't want to be that. You don't want to be that person who feels so entitled to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's blessing that you cannot even see the wrong that you've done. You feel so entitled to something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put forward that now you're plotting against someone. You don't want to be that person. And so what are the cures of, okay, I'm decent, a little decent on time, just a little bit. What are the cures of hasad? The first thing is mindfulness. Last week I told you guys, remember shaitan's not your friend. So we're not going to go through that again, okay? And I told you guys about gratitude, thinking about all the things Allah has given you. This week, I want to tell you guys the first thing is being mindful. A lot of times, we end up falling into the traps of poor character because we're actually not paying attention. We're not paying attention. When you're just scrolling and you're so invested in someone else's life, subconsciously, it's not healthy. Also, the type of access we have to people is not real. It's not healthy. Because when you see a random person's page and all of a sudden you have an opinion about what color their cabinet should be, you need to ask yourself a couple of questions. Not just one, 10 questions. One of them has to be, why do I care? That has to be one question, So being more mindful in your life is very important. I think being mindful, especially in the consumption that you have of other people's lives. Because sometimes we actually don't even want stuff. All of a sudden, all your friends have the new Vela. I don't know why, but poor Vela girlies. Come for your life all the time. I like Velas now. That's not actually true, but I know all the students are like, what? No, because it's recorded, and I don't want to get in trouble, okay? So let's use a different example. Velas are the only thing that's coming to my mind, okay? All your friends like Velas. Everybody's wearing them. Now all of a sudden, you're like, man, I didn't get the new drop. You didn't even care, actually. You actually didn't care. And now you're fighting your own friend for the drop that you don't care about. So you paid $27 plus shipping for this job. And you didn't even want it. You didn't even want it. Can you imagine? Be mindful. Be mindful. And I'm not coming for the Vela girlies. You guys are actually collecting a fortune. Okay? You're like the richest people I know. May Allah increase you and give you more. Okay? The Ameen hands is crazy. Okay? Ameen. Be mindful. All right? And this is when your mindfulness helps you to develop self-awareness. And it allows you to know how you're reacting to things and how you're acting about things. So you want to just stick to who you are. You can have friends and people around you that you love and care for without becoming them, you know, without now fighting for their blessing. Like, they are their own person, and what Allah has given them is what Allah has given them, and what Allah has given you is what Allah has given you, and it doesn't take from either party. The second thing is that you have to stand directly in front of your negative qualities. We're past the point of sweeping things under the rug. We're past that. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. You know, we're all here in this room on a journey of being better people. And as we're admitting that, we have to admit that there are things that are not so great about us. Because that first step allows you to address it. And if you're like hearing this and you're like, man, I found myself being a little jealous of so-and-so, and a little jealous of this person. Yes, admit it. Admit it to yourself. Don't go telling your bad deeds, okay? Admit it to yourself so that you can take the next step, and that's do something nice for this person. Purely out of the kindness of your heart. I don't care if you don't want to. That's even better. Out of the kindness of your heart. Make dua for them. Allah increase them in that thing, but also do something nice. Spend some money on them. You know why? There's nothing that's more humbling. Nothing that's more humbling than being in service of somebody you actually don't care for. There's nothing more humbling. Why? Because you're like, I literally don't want to give you anything, actually. I don't want to do anything with you. I don't want to do anything for you. But out of pure concern for your heart and yourself and your development, you will go out of your way to do something kind for this person. Now, if you go and give the person next to you a gift in the next 2 hours, don't do that. They're going to be like, so you hate me? That's crazy, you know? But do something kind for them. Do something loving. Do something caring. And do it out of the kindness of your heart in hopes that that's a means of curing this hasad or this jealousy that you have inside of you. And last but not least is we spend a lot of time making dua for other people, right? We'll go, somebody say, make dua for me. We're going to go pray Maghrib. You'll go sit down, make dua for that person. There are a lot of moms in this room, and you guys will make dua for your kids. You make dua for everybody, but you don't make dua for yourself. And the nature of that is no one knows truly what you need more than you. No one knows truly what you need more than you, right? You know what you need from Allah. And you may not be able to put it into words, but that's the best thing about God. You don't have to, right? But you have to show up for yourself. You can't even come close to finding contentment in life unless you show up for yourself. That's the reality of it. And chasing these abnormalities of happiness and thinking that material things or people are going to bring you happiness is just going to make life a lot more difficult for you. The place that you're going to find contentment, the place you're going to find peace and tranquility and serenity is with Allah. That is where you're going to find it. Why? Because your children are going to disappoint you. Your friends are going to disappoint you. Your family is going to disappoint you. And this is because it's natural. People are human. They make mistakes, right? One day your kid loves you. The next day your kid's like, I can't wait to go to school, actually. I had a great day. I was not here with you. It's like, what? Like, we were best friends over the summer. It's like, yeah, not anymore. I got a new one. You know? And people make their kids their personality. And what happens when this person grows up and has their own life, and now you become resentful? Why? Because you're like, well, I didn't get to live my life because I poured it into you. No. You fulfilled your responsibility to Allah. That's what you did. So you need to find contentment with God, not contentment or happiness in this person. You can't do that. And the same thing goes with relationships, and the same thing goes with friends. You not have unrealistic expectations of people to carry you emotionally. No, you cannot do that. You need to find a relationship with God. And one who does not know themselves will not know Allah. And one who does not know Allah will never know themselves. That is the reality of it. So it's so important that you are mindful, that you're reflective, that you stay and become your own person. And that is where you will find contentment. And you will find that when you have contentment, like I am good with God, raditu billahi rabban. I'm content, I'm happy, I'm pleased with Allah as my Lord. Okay? When you find that, then guess what? You find that all the other diseases of the heart, they fall off. They fall off. Why? Because now you don't care what so and so is driving. You know why? You don't care that so and so, you don't care to be upset at so and so. Why? Because it doesn't matter. Actually, it doesn't matter why. I'm good with God. Me and Allah are locked in. That's why. And that's where you want to live your life. This is why the Prophet tells the companion, Qul amantum billah, say I believe in Allah, thumma istaqim, and then remain steadfast. What does that mean? Stay the course. Be consistent. You find that istiqamah, that's consistency of contentment with Allah, then you have found your sweet spot in this world. You have found exactly where you need to be. Staying the course is real hard. There's always something shiny and new and pretty that comes in the way. But you have to remember, not everything that glitters is gold. And that I have everything that I need in Allah. So I pray that Allah SWT allows us to benefit from everything that we heard here today. I pray that Allah SWT forgives us all of our shortcomings, that Allah SWT heals us from any diseases of the heart that we may have. I pray that Allah SWT allows us to be people who are risen with those who are righteous. I pray that Allah SWT allows us to drink from the blessed hands of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ on the day of judgment. I pray that Allah SWT alleviates the difficulty and the hardship of our brothers and sisters in Palestine and our brothers and sisters who are suffering around the world. That any oppressor that is on this earth, Allah SWT deals with them and deals with them swiftly and in our lifetime. I pray that Allah SWT allows us to constantly be on the right side of history, and that Allah SWT allows us to constantly be in good deeds and in service of Him, and that Allah SWT allows us to find contentment in Him. Allah SWT allows us to find ourselves and know Him in our deepest ways and deepest levels. I pray that Allah SWT forgives us all, that Allah SWT allows us to do all the good deeds before He takes us. I pray that Allah SWT fills those who are passed away their graves with light, that He fills it with mercy and tranquility. I pray Allah SWT reunites us in a gathering much better than this. Subhanaka Allahumma bihamdika, nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. Jazakallah khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.